A little more on one of our top stories now, and that is the RBA Governor Philip Lowe. Heading to Canberra today, he's going to face the music. Joining us live is the Managing Director at EQ Economics and Judo Bank, Warren Hogan. Warren, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So what are we going to learn today from the RBA Governor, do you think?
Yeah, good morning, Pete. I think he's going to need to explain to us not just why he's raising rates, but I think he needs to go a step further and explain what could happen and what are the risks is if he doesn't keep doing this, if he doesn't keep tightening monetary policy. I think that's been missing from the conversation about the problem that we can get ourselves into if we let inflation get away from us. And I think that should be a focus for him as he goes in today.
Will there be mea culpas?
Well, he did that last year. He's obviously going to get quizzed about the meeting with the bond traders last week.
Yeah.
But, I've been at those meetings. The RBA governor's been doing them for 20 years. I don't think there was anything untoward there. I think the misstep or the misjudgment was not doing the press club speech. I think given that the apparent shift in thinking required a public exposition, he thinks it's this. But I think obviously a quicker, earlier speech last week would have been desirable.
Okay, yeah. So that lunch, that private lunch with the bond traders, Trudy just talked about this from Canberra. You didn't see much untoward about that?
No, it's regular practice. It's important. It's important that the RBA keeps the market informed and is allowed to be questioned because it is ultimately the financial markets and the banking system that is the conduit for monetary policy. The RBA doesn't deal with anyone in the community. It doesn't deal with mortgages or doesn't deal with corporate loans. So it's really critical that the RBA is engaged with the market, and they've been doing this for decades.
Should he stay on as boss, in your view?
I think he should. The reason I think he should is, despite the missteps, he is our most experienced central banker, one of our best macroeconomists, and we are facing 2 or 3 years of the most challenging environment imaginable. It's going to take experience, conviction, and courage to do the right thing by the Australian community in the long term, and there's no one better placed in our community than him. That being said, it looks like he's politically a dead duck, and that's unfortunate because I think he is the right person for the job.
I mean, if he doesn't stay on, isn't it true that whoever replaces him is basically just going to have to pull the same triggers?
Well, I think that's exactly right. I mean, my criticism, if anything, of the Reserve Bank in the last 9 months, and it's a very mild one, is that they probably should have done more. You can just see by looking at where our interest rate is compared to other similar economies. We're about a full percentage point, if not more, behind most of them. And this is the effect of political pressure, is that they don't do the job that's required of them. And I think the real risk is that we get behind the game, and we saw the US inflation numbers overnight were stubbornly high. And then they have to jack rates up so much next year that we have no alternative but a bad recession. So, exactly right.
I mean, going through some of the mistakes, I mean, too slow to begin with, went too far with rates, now going very hard. You talked about not giving that speech. You also got those comments where he said effectively that people shouldn't take pay cuts while he's taking $1 million a year. I mean, has he damaged the credibility of the RBA? Has he lost touch with the public?
Look, I think the communications has been a major problem, and I think their performance through the pandemic was not great. And I think now he's got himself into a position in the last 3 or 4 months where just any misstep is magnified. So it is probably terminal, unfortunately, and there has been damage done. But I think the most important credibility is that people believe what they say. And of course, today is an important day in him communicating to the broader community about what their intentions are and why they need to do this. It would be great to see the government backing them up and supporting them in that communication role, but so far the government's distancing itself from what the RBA is doing.